me Techsort. In this lecture, we will be creating a simple adding program which will add two numbers. Let's begin with our code.
Subscribe now and press the bell icon. Never miss an update.
Okay, let's create a project for our work. For creating a project, go on File, New, and Java Project. Name it. I'm naming it as Tutorial 3. Use the default settings. Press Finish. Click on Don't Create. And in this project, left click, New, and Package. Name it same or different, it's up to you. Now on this package, left click, New, Other, and in Windows Builder, there is an option Application Window in Swing Designer. Click on it, press Next. Name it, I'm naming it as Adder. Finish. Now there is a default code created, and here is my GUI where I can design my GUI for adding two numbers. Let's create our GUI. As we are creating a program for adding two numbers. For example, there will be numbers like, my program will run like 5 first number plus 9 equals. So what we need in our GUI is two numbers which the user will enter. We need two numbers which user will enter. We know this is, we are creating an adder, so this will remain constant. This equal to sign will also be constant. And this will be calculated through our program. We have to program to get it. Now, how will we tell the user that this is the point when I have entered my number and you have to calculate my result? So I need a button, push button. For example, I name it as Add. So that when user has entered this number and this number, he can press this button to get the answer. So whatever GUI will contain first number, second number, answer, these two constants, and a push button. Now let's create these all things. We need an input from the user. To get the input from the user, there's a one line input, so I will use getText field. These are our components. So from components, click on getText field and click on the GUI. Here there's flow layout selected. So first of all, change the layout, choose the absolute layout, click on absolute layout and click on the GUI. Once you have chosen absolute layout, we can place our components anywhere in our GUI. So now click on getText field and click on the GUI where you want to place it. Make it a little bit larger. This is alright. We need two inputs. One input is this, and second input, to get it, click on getText field, click on here like this and increase its size. Now I want a constant plus here. So for this I will choose JLabel, click on JLabel, click where you want to place it. Now instead of new label, I want to display a plus sign. So in the properties panel in text area, remove new label and write plus. Click enter. Its size is very small. So from font, increase its size. This is okay. Now I need an equal to sign to make an equal to sign, take a JLabel here. In the properties panel, in the text, change new label to equal to. Press enter. Increase its font size to 18. And we need a push button to add these two numbers. To create a push button, in the components, click on J button. Click here. Change the text from new button to add. Press enter. Its size is okay. You can increase the size from font. Okay. Now what we have to do, we want a place where our result will be shown. Now if I use getText field for showing our result, then user can change it because text field is for the user's input. So I want a constant thing which will be changed when this add button will be pressed. So I will use JLabel for it. I will change its text to that number which is the answer. Increase its size and change the text from new label to maybe empty. This will be okay, or we can place in all of our text field as 0 and the answer also as 0. Like click on that first text field. In the text there is empty. Click from empty, change to 0. Increase the size to 18 and this one to and size to 18, and in the answer change the text to 0 and size to 18. This is looking alright. Now we can add a label at the top as a heading. So click on JLabel, tick anywhere here, name it as simple header. Increase its size and font as 25. I think it's alright. Now this is a little bit looking boring. So change the foreground background color. Click on the frame and in the properties, in the background, change the shoes cascade. It's okay. So this will be our GUI. If I run the program right now, you can see, okay, this is our program. I can change the numbers from here 5 plus 9, but when I press add button, nothing is happening because we have not programmed it yet. Now let's program our code, but before programming, I will tell you about some built-in functions which we will use in our program. So let's discuss them. First, now the functions we will be using in our program to add two numbers are parseInt and toString. Now, what are these functions and why we will use them? First of all, for understanding these two functions, first and second, we need to understand about the data types. What are data types? Data types are basically, for example, if I write 5.3 and a name, for example, program. So I have written these three are the three data which the user will enter. 5. This is an integer. 5 is an integer. 5.3. 5.3 will be a float and program. This will be a string. But integers can contain, integers are number, any whole number. It can be positive as well as negative. What are floating numbers? Floating numbers are is any number which contains that point, 5.0, 5.1, 1.0, or any number like this. These can also be negative as well as positive. Strings. Strings is a general data type which can contain numbers, alphabets. Alphabet numbers can be floating point or simple numbers, and this string can also contain special characters, for example dot, comma, multiply, divide, exclamation mark, or any other symbol. So string can contain anything. So once we have learned about these data types, now we can understand these two functions. Whatever I import, for example, these were my two inputs from the user. Okay, and this was the answer. It was JLabel, and these were the text fields. So if the user has entered 5 here, so whatever will be entered in text field or whatever will be shown on the JLabel, its data type is string. Its data type is string, its data type is string, and its data type is string. But when I have to perform calculation on anything, on any number, these strings should be converted to integer to perform any calculation on them. Now to convert string into an integer and integer to a string, there are two functions, parseInt. ParseInt convert a string into an integer. So we will use this function before we perform our calculation. And toString function. ToString function convert an integer into a string. When we will add these two numbers, 5 plus 9, an integer 14 will come. But the data type of the answer, which is a JLabel, is a string. So I need to convert this 14 into a string. To convert an integer into a string, we use a function toString. Now what's the syntax of it? We will write it as integer dot parseInt string. String any variable name which is of data type string, and I want to convert it into an integer. In A, if A is equal to 5. So after this program will run, let's say I store this answer in x is equal to this statement. So after that, x will be an integer and its value will be 5. Okay. Now integer toString. toString converts integer to a string. So integer dot toString and integer A. For example, I name it as x. So x was an integer. After that, when I will store a result, A will be a string, and now A will be set to this. Now I can place it into the label. Now how to get data from the GUI? There are two functions by which we can get and set the data to my GUI. We can get the data from the GUI with function getText and set the text to text field, text area, or label through setText. For example, this is my GUI. So these are two text fields and this is our J label. For example, user have entered 5 and 9 here. Now in the program I want this 5 and 9. So to get the text from this text field, I will use this getText function. And to set the text, the answer to this label, which is the answer, this will be 14. To set the text here, it will be setText. Okay, between setText, the text will come. Now let's create our program. Now we are back to our Eclipse window. Here, if I want to access these two in our code, I have to rename them. Here the variable name is the name which we will use in our code. So the variable name should be like number 1. This will be num1 and this will be our num2. And this will be our answer and this is our add button. This plus, equal and simple adder, we don't need to change them in our program, so we are not renaming them. So now if I want to go to our program, I can simply go to in the source tab, click on the source tab, or there is another way, whichever I want to program. For example, in this scenario, I have to program on this add button. Why I have to program on this add button? Because on clicking of this add button, our program will change its result. So to change the add, in this scenario, we have to perform our calculations when this add button will be clicked. So in the action listener of this add button, we will program our whole code. So to go on its action listener, double click on the button. I will directly go to its code where this is used. In the programming area, all the text fields and all the labels, these are automatically programmed here. So we don't need to change them or we don't need to program for creating them there. They will be automatically generated. So in the action listener, now what is an action listener? Action listener is what action in this area. We will write what action will be performed when the button will be clicked. So in the action listener, I have to access my both numbers, which are num1 and num2, and store them in a string. Now, why I have to store them in a string? Because the data type of text field is string. Create a string variable, string a is equal to. Now to get the numbers from the text field, I have to write num1 dot getText. Can you get it? So it will access the text of num1 and store in variable a. Similarly for num2, string b is equal to num2 dot getText. Now these both are the strings. I have to convert them into an integer to use them in a calculation or to perform add operator on them. To do so, create an integer variable, for example, integer n1 is equals to integer dot parseInt and a. Similarly for my integer n2, equals to integer dot parseInt and b. Now we have already studied about parseInt. What parseInt will do, it will convert this string into an integer and store it in N1. Okay. Now we have to add these numbers N1 and N2 and store it in an other integer. For example, integer equal to N1 plus N2 and semicolon. Now this is an integer. This answer is an integer. I have to convert it into a string to set it on my JLabel. To convert it into a string, create a string. Let's take string C. String C is equal to integer dot toString. The function of toString is to convert an integer into a string. And this C is a string. We can set it into our label. What was the name of our label? Our label name was answer. So answer dot setText and this C. Now it is showing me an error message that this answer is not defined. Why is this showing me this error message? Because answer was defined below this action performer. So we can simply do that. We can cut this whole thing, Control X, and paste it above. Now the error is removed. Now our code is complete. We can save it, Control S, and run it from here. Let's add the number, for example 15 plus 23, push button, press the push button, and here is the answer.